Alright, so this is a tutorial on general character creation. So we're going to have to kind of just, what I'm going to do is just show you roughly what the interface here is of ZBrush. So we're just working in ZBrush 2019. You can download a trial of it from Pixelogic. Just go pixelogic.com and then just download a free trial. At the time of this, I believe that it was a 45-day trial, so that'll give you like a month and a half, which is pretty good. But I'm going to show you basically just the rough interface and kind of go from there. It's definitely a little bit different than other things you would probably use before. So you probably have this open when you first opened it, which is the Lightbox. This is basically their like file menu system, like how they open up folders and stuff. Not a huge fan. You can hit the comma key, or you just go up here and you see where it says Lightbox. That's how you can do it. Okay, so that's what that is. All right. So up top here you can see it's a lot like other programs where all the stuff that's up here can be found like with buttons and stuff underneath here, but like everything is up in this menu. Okay, so all the settings and stuff for each little thing is up here. So like alpha, right? So if you see, here's alpha right here. These are like basically like if you're in Photoshop or whatever, that this is the sort of thing that it draws. So like if I were to see how that's the alpha of what it's drawing. Okay, so that's what that is. All right, so that's what it is anyway. I'm going to turn that back to off. So that's alpha, but it gives you those, but you can see there's even more settings. Okay, so the brush deals with the brush that you're drawing with. Color obviously deals with color. Document deals with saving. Actually, you don't want to really use this much. That's a little bit different. Actually, we're never going to touch that. Draw, we're not going to really use. Edit, file, right? So this is how we're going to save and close and all that business. But basically, all these things deal with they're like more involved versions of what you see here. Okay, so they're kind of self-explanatory. The one thing that's really odd, and you might have already noticed it, is that it's alphabetical. You can change these, but that should give you kind of a warning sign of how this is weird and different. Because even like the menu thing here is different. Okay. Then underneath that we have, I guess, the tool settings here. Well, it's not tool settings. These are always here. But we have draw, which is what we're going to primarily use. Move, scale, and rotate, right? And if you look, it's Q, W, E, and R, except R is actually rotate here, as opposed to R, which is scale inside of Maya. So it's a little bit different in that regard. But basically, Q, which is normally just select in Maya, is just the draw. So Q, W, E, and R are these. Don't worry about these things right now. And then MRGB. We can just turn that off. You don't need this at all. But basically, this will allow you to paint the material. So now we could choose like Blinn or Lambert, or if there's like a special material, that'll let you do that. RGB is just the color. So this does the material and the color. This does the color, and this will do just material. Z add and Z sub, that just means if you're going to sculpt and you're adding to the surface, like you're pulling it out, subtracting it. But we can just do that by holding Alt, and that will draw in or draw out. Focal shift and stuff, this is basically the feathering. So if you look at my brush, see there's an inner circle and outer circle. If I pull focal shift, you can kind of see it there. You can see it gets bigger or smaller. So that's basically like the feathering from the inside to the outside. And draw size is obviously the size. Z intensity is how much you're going to sculpt in or out. Okay, that's basically that. This is the current brush that we're using. This is the type of stroke that we're drawing. Alpha I already showed you. Texture, if you're drawing a texture, we're not doing that. This is the material that's applied, and this is the color. Okay. Over on the right here, this can actually be anything, but it's almost always tool. And tool inside of ZBrush basically means model. Okay. So that's just that's what this stands for. So anything dealing with a model is going to be over here. So let's go ahead and just draw something just so you get a feel for it, and then we'll go from there. We don't want to use simple brush. So what you want to do is click on this, and you can see this menu pops up. What I want you to choose, just go ahead and choose Sphere 3D. And it's going to look like that. Okay. Now there's not going to be anything in here. So what you need to do is you need to drop it onto the canvas. This is called the canvas. Okay. That's why even if you look over here, you'll see scroll, zoom, pan, blah, blah, blah. This is actually, it treats this like a flat sheet of paper. So watch, if I scroll, I'm actually moving the canvas around, right? And if I zoom, I'm zooming into this canvas, not zooming into it in 3D space. Just click on actual. But that's basically what that's for, which is kind of weird. Anyway, so we got this. You're going to click and drag. Okay, now if I hold shift, you'll see after I start dragging, it'll hold it into basically it's like 45-degree increments. Yeah. So I'm just gonna kind of go. You see how it's straight across? You don't have to hold shift. You just click and drag it. Okay. Now, what that's gonna do is that it's not still 3D. You'll see I can put a bunch more in here. Okay. What it does is it's almost like you're painting in what they call 2.5D pixels. So I can draw on here, but it also can be affected by light. But this is not 3D. It just has like a half 3D thing. Okay. If you need to clear out the canvas, you hit Control N or Command N, and that'll clear the canvas out. So I'm just going to draw another one. Okay, if I want to work in 3D, I have to go in Edit mode. You can hit T, or you can click on this up here. Now we're in 3D. So let's and you can see some of these other. Now there's this stuff popped up here, and some of these other options showed up here. So go ahead and turn on perspective, because by default it was not in perspective. Go ahead and turn on floor. You can see there's X, Y, and Z. Make sure it's on the Y, okay, because you can also do X in the other ones. Don't worry about the rest of that. Now, what I want you to do is that yours might be rolled weird. So one of the things you can do in here is you can get it like sideways. You can roll the camera, which normally you can't do. We can't do that in Maya. I think they call this trackball. I'm not a big fan of it because it makes it just kind of weird. It's supposed to be superior, but I don't find it superior. So what you want to do is try to just click and drag till you get kind of close. And when you get closer, so I'm just going to keep trying. There we go. When you get closer, hold shift, and you'll see as you're clicking and dragging, and it'll snap. Okay? So shift will snap to views as you're rotating. To rotate, sorry, I didn't even discuss that, is just click and drag. You don't have to hold Alt or anything. In fact, you don't want to. Okay? So just click up here, anywhere that's not on this guy, and it will rotate the camera. So once you hold shift, what you do is turn on this. This will rotate on all axis, this will rotate on Y, and this will rotate on Z. So now you'll notice when I click on Y, when I go like this, you can see it always tries to keep this up. Like it always tries to keep the Y axis up. And this just makes it easier so I don't accidentally roll it and it gets weird. This way it's a little bit more like Maya. Another thing to be aware of too, see how there's a blue line here and a red one here? It might be more faint on yours. Mine's surprisingly brilliant. Usually it's really faint, but that's the front. So this is the front of it. So I'm just going to make sure that's on the front. All right. So that's how you rotate. It's just click and drag. Now, the other thing you can do is if you hold shift, sorry, not shift. If you hold Alt and click and drag, that's pan. Okay. So Alt and click and drag, not on it, just out in outer space. Now Alt and click and pan, but what you want to do is let go of Alt, but hold your mouse button down, and that will zoom in and out. Okay, so you start to pan, you let go, and then it'll turn to zoom in and out. And that's how you move in and out. It's kind of weird. Your scrolly wheel won't work in here, so give up on that idea. All right. Now, you can sculpt on this. So to sculpt on it, all you're going to do is just click and drag on it. Oops. One second. So, for whatever reason, it's not letting me do it. It's really weird. Let's see. Okay. It might be a problem with the, let's see if I switch to the pen. Will that work? Cancel? No. Because I'm recording, sometimes it gets kind of confused. So I'm just going to pause it, see if I can get this to work, and then come back. So usually it lets you do this, but what we have to do is, for whatever reason, not let me sculpt on it this way. So just make sure you click on Make Polymesh 3D, and now you'll be able to sculpt on it. Okay, and so usually that works pretty well, but you can see it's not letting me do something. So I want you to do is click on this. This is the Activate Sculptress Pro mode. And what that's going to do is that it's automatically, if you hit Shift F, you see this is what our model looks like, right? Now when I go like this, it'll automatically dynamically tessellate my model. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's Shift F, or you can click on this, which is polyframe. That basically is how you show the wireframe. Is the idea. Okay. Now, so go ahead and just draw on it a little bit. It doesn't really matter what you do. Yay, right? If you hold Alt and draw, that will go inwards as opposed to outwards. It'll do the opposite. Okay. If you hold Shift, that is smooth. Okay. And if you hold Control, that is mask. So if I go like this, Now when I go to sculpt, it will not let me sculpt. It will not allow me to sculpt it. To clear out a mask, you hold Control, click, and just drag like this, and that will clear it out. You can also do this. If I wanted to invert my mask, I hold Control, click. That will invert it, and now that's the only thing that's sculptable. So Control Tap, Control Click, and drag. Okay. Let me see. What else is there? There's also Control and Shift, and that is visibility. But leave that one alone for now. Honestly, it's not going to be super useful for you. All right. So you might want to change the size of your brush. So you can do that all up here, or if you hold the space bar, it's going to bring up this menu, and this will allow you to change your draw size. So that's the size of your brush. The focal shift. So again, watch if I make this really tight. I'll make this a little bit smaller. What you're going to see is it's going to be a little bit tighter, right? Actually, yeah, a little bit tighter. Now if I take focal shift and I go this way with it, you're going to see it's much more to the outside. Okay, generally in the middle's fine. And then intensity is just strength. So if I go a little, it'll just do a little bit. If I do a lot, it will do a whole lot. Okay, so that is that. Now, that is the basics of brushing. Now, the other thing you're going to want to know how to do is go to the brush, click on that, and you'll see we have all these brushes. Really, the only main brushes you're going to need are probably standard and the move brush. So you click on this, and then where's move? I don't know where it is. I usually do it this way. If you hit B, that brings up brush, and then like S for standard, and then T, you can see there it is right there, T, okay? But if I go B, and then M for move, and then I'll see, ooh, it's the V, and then I'll hit V. And then I can do this, and I can actually grab chunks of this, right? I need to shift that. There we go. Okay. And that'll allow me to pull it. Okay. So you can see there's all sorts of them, like polish, which is going to act a little bit weird because we're in this Sculptress Pro mode. But anyway, that should give you a rough idea of how just the... Now, you go ahead and doodle with it and try to make something. You could, if you've ever used Sculptress, it's basically the same thing when you have the Sculptress Pro mode on. But I'm going to call that good for right now. And then what we'll do is make another video, and we'll actually start making a character. And in that one, we'll go a little bit farther. We're going to kind of go from beginning to end. All right?